Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is living into your greatness. And before we get started, let's just take a moment to settle in and become present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it and just feel the energy coursing through your body, that oxygen just uplifting your cells and your bloodstream, and exhale and release any tension and just relax. And let's take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and imagine that it's sparkling light just coursing through your bloodstream, through all your cells, into and beyond every part of your body. And let's gently place our palms together. Softly rub your fingers against your palms and feel the tingling in your fingers and feel the tingling in your palms, and allow yourselves to just come present right here, right now, in these wonderful bodies that we get to live life through. And I want to say good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Dido, thank you so much for being here. And we're going to talk about rising to your greatness. And the past few days, I've spoken about courage and about change. And I had occasion to be speaking with a client who has had a lot of trepidation in the face of becoming who he can be. And I've had other clients also that have shackled themselves in order to be palatable to other family members or to friends. In other words, to not threaten the status quo. And when we look at stepping into ownership of our power and our purpose, there are consequences to that, and those consequences can be frightening when we realize that it often means that we get to choose to let go of some people in our lives, that we get to cultivate new relationships, and that at times it can be lonely because we're really being true to our hearts and our standards and our intentions. And oftentimes we find ourselves in social circumstance or even familial environments that are less than supportive of our growth and transformation. And it does take courage. It takes courage of your conviction. It takes courage to be willing to be true to yourself in the face of other people telling you that you're crazy, or reinforcing or trying to reinforce ideas that you're not capable, or that that you're delusional, perhaps. When we start dreaming big dreams and really step into ownership of those things, in the beginning, certainly, it's tentative and tenuous and delicate and precious and fragile. And it's important in those times of transformation and growth to be respectful of the newness of your transformation, and to nurture it gently as you would a baby bird, as something very delicate and precious, because it is when we are new to our calling, when we're new to our willingness to really step into ownership of our our soul, our song from our soul's song. Uh, it can be a delicate time. It's like a baby learning to crawl and then to walk, and just having control over its body and having a better understanding of movement and what it is to be in this new form. And as we take on these new roles and identities, it there is a sloughing off of old notions of who we are, and oftentimes we can be our own worst enemy in the face of taking on the call to become who we came here to be. We can be peppering ourselves with questions like, who am I to think I could possibly do such a thing? Who am I to be worthy of such a task? Or who am I to be worthy of evolution, of evolving, of awakening? And the thing that you want to know is that, of course, you're worthy, or else you wouldn't have been presented with that opportunity or that vision or that gift or um, that idea. And so when we entertain these shifts that present themselves to us, or opportunities, like when you have a calling in your soul, and um, you you don't know whether to receive it or not. The tendency might be, well, that's too big a dream for me, or that's too big a an aspiration, or it's not realistic, or all the reasons why it's not possible or practical. And I invite you to revisit that and to find the courage in your heart to listen to your heart. And I can tell you from my own experience in taking on my sense of purpose in the world, that it has given me my life. It took a lot of courage. I was terrified. To say, yes, I'm going to own this. And I had no idea at the time what the vision was of an eco park. And I've mentioned this a couple times, but a vision of an eco park that's kind of like a phantasmagorical World's Fair for sustainability, with all kinds of exhibits and classes and experiences and examples that people could learn from and be awed by and inspired by, and then bring back to their communities. And this was such a big vision, and it it sounded wonderful and ridiculous to so many people. And one of the first times that I spoke it in public, somebody that was there said, "It's never going to happen," or "You're never going to do that." And my response at that time was, "Watch me." And at the same time, what I realized is that it might have been premature to be launching that publicly, because uh, it was still very tender for me. It was still very new, and I needed to grow into it. And so part of that growing into it was realizing that I didn't have the support system that I needed to be able to rise into who I needed to be to make this thing a reality. And what I'm wanting to address is the fear that we have in facing change, in letting go, in following our hearts, because of the consequences perhaps to family. Maybe we don't want to, maybe we have the imagining that we'll be outshining our family or we'll be outshining our friends, so we dim our own light. And that is uh, saddest thing to do, is to dim your own life, dim your own life and your own light in deference to others, because then what is the quality of life that you have? And I believe we each came here with a calling. And so the calling is often to open up your heart to this new opportunity and experience, and then seek out and make room for the people and the opportunities in life that will support that to come into being. It's remarkable that when we step into ownership of ourselves and our power and our possibility and our purpose, that the universe conspires to make magic happen. And so, yes, there's a letting go. Yes, there may be times of loneliness because not everybody speaks the language of possibility. But curtailing your growth because you're comfortable is really death dealing. It really does take a toll on your soul. And I know this from experience, where I was in denial for years and just trying to live the life that the people around me expected from me and that I owned as my own expectations. And I was truly miserable. And when I found the courage to really step into my calling and owning it in the face of criticism and skepticism from people I loved, or just plain lack of support, it has given me my life. And uh, I just keep thinking of this one person that I've worked with who is such a brilliant light, who actually said, you know, there's a place as you're rising in life where you are at the top of the game. It's like you're a big fish in a little pond, and then when you jump to the next pond, you're a little fish in a bigger pond, or maybe a little fish in an even smaller pond. Um, in other words, you kind of go from the top of the totem to the bottom, kind of like when you go from elementary school to junior high or high school. And, when you're at the highest grade, you're the big man on campus, and you go to the next level and you're a newbie. And uh, it is a challenge to one's identity to be moving through these evolutionary phases. And interestingly, the same person said to me that, or reminded me of the quote, the more I know, the more I know, the less I know. In other words, the more I learn, the less I know. Um, and it's true that we get to move into the deeper and deeper uncertainty and find peace with that. The uncertainty that really is more of the truth of life than the ideas that we have about how things are and how things should be. And it all comes back to the same conversation that I repeat and repeat and repeat, which is it all comes back to presence. And being present without the overlay of our ideas and opinions and beliefs and agendas. When we bring ourselves to presence, then have the capability to be responsive to the moment, and the fear actually falls away. The fear falls away with our expectations. As we release our expectations, as we release our predictions about how things are going to be and our ideas about how things are, then what remains is presence, and there is no fear there. There may be moments of a visceral feeling and an emotion that we call fear, and then we get to move through that by breathing through that, by experiencing it, by allowing it to be present, and in allowing it to be present, we allow it to move. But but in the moment, in the moment, in the pure moment, there's not much room for fear. So the invitation here is to quiet yourself, to feel into your heart, to find your next step, and to notice what arises in the face of that, and to notice what arises in the face of the universe's invitation to expand and evolve, and to find the place in your heart that gives you the courage to meet that invitation with open arms and open heart, and to move into what and who you came here to be. And yeah, I'm just so awed by the power that we hold and the light that we hold, and how much of our energy is spent working to dim that light, because it takes effort to dim that light. And it's so crazy. It's so crazy when you see somebody who has a bright light that they're dimming, support them in brightening that light to be their true brilliance. We all need that from all of us now. That's what the world's calling for. That's what we came here for. We all have a voice. We all make a difference. We all came with gifts to share and to enjoy. You know, the things that bring us joy and elation are the things that we came here to share, because that energy of love and light and joy is the vitality of life. And that's not to the exclusion of the other emotions by any means. The anger, the sorrow, the hurt, the pain, that's all there too. And we came here to experience all of it. And I just invite you to find the path of your soul. And that's the path where fulfillment and joy and peace lay. There's a peace in that passion and mission all together. And Dido says, I used to think being present would mean being even more fully present to my fear and anxiety, but that's not how it is. When I'm truly present and just notice my thoughts, my fear drops away. That's exactly true, Dido. Thank you so much for that, because the fear and the anxiety are typically created by projecting negativity into the future. So, and sometimes grabbing experience from the past and then projecting it forward. And that's where fear and anxiety comes from. So and typically the way that we imagine our futures is laden with the fear of repeating the past or encountering some terrifying experience going forward, looking at all the negatives that could happen. And of course, that's going to create tremendous anxiety. The future doesn't exist any more than the past. What exists is this moment. The past, once it's past, is a memory and an interpretation. And the future is a projection. And the only thing that exists is this moment right here, right now. And we pull our past and our future into this moment. And so by doing so, we create or perpetuate anxiety and fear. Even by I was going to say, even by just reliving the past, that can be a way that we also generate our anxiety and fear. It's always been this way, or what if that happens again, kind of thing, which is the what if it happens again is projecting into the future. So being present is being still, being here without expectation, without judgment, and letting things unfold. And that way, in that presence, we have the ability to hear the song of our souls, to listen to the callings of our hearts, and to respond, to be responsive to the moment, to be response able in the moment. It's very much counter to our conventional way of thinking, because we think planning ahead and learning from the past, and all of that makes us better humans and better prepared for life, when most often what happens is that we become victims of our own beliefs and ideas and limitations. And I'm not saying to ignore, to not take preparation, not to, but you can be caring for yourself going forward, taking action that is sensible and rational action from an impulse that is generated in the moment, and therefore is something that is responsive to what's actually present. So these are fine distinctions, because it may be that I could be going grocery shopping and buying exactly the same things out of a sense of fear and lack and anxiety, as I go grocery shopping and buy the very same things from a place of presence and responsiveness to the moment. It may be that the grocery cart looks the same, the experience of the trip to the grocery store is certainly not. And so this all goes back to having courage, finding courage to follow your heart, and recognize that it may mean choices of letting go of the familiar. And the fear of the unknown is what so often stops us. However, the truth is that there is no known. There is no known going forward. The truth is that we don't have the ability to say, this is what's going to happen. We act as if. Life is always going to be on a continuum. However, things like COVID happen. All kinds of things that we don't anticipate can happen. And because we have imagined that life is always going to be the same, it disrupts our sense of safety and continuity. And that that is something that results for many people in fear and anxiety, because that continuity or the illusion of the predictability and continuity has been broken. And then Dido says response able. Exactly. That's what we want to be doing and being, is response able, and able to respond. And that means being present to be able to respond appropriately. So that's it for today. I just really encourage you to recognize that we're always stepping into the unknown. It's just that in certain moments it seems more obvious than others. And so by embracing the unknown, by finding a place in your heart to trust yourself and trust the universe and trust life, then then we have the ability to step into that unknown with joyful and joyful jubilance, to celebrate it and have enthusiasm and excitement for what's next. So with that, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I'm here every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And this is the Enlightened World Network with phenomenal programming that you definitely want to check out. So many wonderful people sharing vision, sharing meditation, sharing love and connection. So please be sure to check it out, and I hope to see you here again. Thanks so much for joining me.